Well, let me begin by clarifying this isn't really a trailer breakdown. I know some people put it out as a trailer breakdown. It's basically just a spot. It's a small spot, but it did give us a few more things, but I don't want to clickbait. It's not really the trailer. Presumably the real trailer is coming. But what do we get? I think we only get really four major things and a few minor things. I will deal, of course, with the major things. So let us get right to it. I think the first thing is the person picking up the mask is probably a woman. And I'm getting this from another YouTuber. I think that was a good guess. It can't be Michael because the hand is full. The fingers are all there. And the person seems to have a bony hand. So if this is a man, it's a very bony man who has a small hand. But more likely, it's a woman's hands or a teenage girl's hand. And that really leaves us with Allison and Lori. That would be the most likely people. Why they're picking up the mask? It's not clear. I guess Michael has been subdued, and I guess they're taking it as a trophy, or maybe this is a clue they found for the copycat killer. But I think it is, yeah, a woman's hand. But is it Lori or Allison? It's unclear. It's just not enough to go by to say whose hand it is, but it is a woman's hand picking up Michael Myers' mask. That brings us to the copycat with the ginger. So is this Michael? I do think it's Michael, but if it's not Michael, the copycat is putting quite an effort because he is huge. So if this is the copycat does look very physically big because this ginger has to be insanely small because even Michael Myers, yes, he can pick up full grown people, but wow, she's kind of small. So whoever is this person, if it's Michael, yeah, it makes sense. He's really tall. If it's not Michael, then it is a copycat that has a kind of physical approximation to the real Michael, and that is what we're seeing. And it is interesting that this is continuous with the trailer. A lot of the shots here don't really pick up from the trailer. They're just enhancing the trailer slightly, but this seems like a full-blown full scene. We are seeing one victim, either by the copycat and or Michael Myers. That brings us, of course, to Corey. This is really the only time we've seen Corey in any real sense. He has some dialogue. It's not saying anything, saying, hey, it's Halloween, time to party. And if you read the synopsis, there's a big brouhaha because allegedly he killed a child. But I think the only thing we get is he's luring victims to Michael because we see that person in the underground structure. And it could be one of the bullies, and he's just lured that bully to their death, and or it's someone genuinely lost because they are flailing their arms. So it's like, where are we? So yes, it is confirmed Michael will be in some kind of underground structure. Is it the sewers? Is it a cave? It's unclear, but it is underground. So we're going to spend a little time underground with him and Corey. And that probably brings us to the most fascinating part of the entire trailer, which is Michael's mask, and especially in relationship to Allison. So we now know that Allison and Corey are something of a couple. If it's romantic, it's unclear, but they do develop a bond. And I think when she's screaming and sees Michael in the mirror, this is probably towards the end because one of the big plot lines is Allison is not sure that Corey is innocent or guilty. Is he the copycat or not? So here's a minor spoiler. This is not me. I will credit the YouTuber, but again, I'm doing this quick. I'm sorry, I have to work, so I have to do this when I can. Apologies for that. And the YouTuber kind of revealed Allison's story. And he says at a certain point, basically, that Corey will injure himself, but do it in a way that it's ambiguous. So Allison doesn't know whether he's telling the truth or Lori is telling the truth because Lori suspects something is wrong with Corey, but Allison is torn. So this really only makes sense after she's relaxing because she is totally shocked. So presumably, this is very late into the film. Corey has gone away. Allison is by herself and she thinks it's over. It was a big drama, but suddenly she sees Michael, and logically, she can only think, well, it can't be Corey. Corey just injured himself. This person seems to have clean hands and is not injured visibly, so it's either Michael and or the copycat. So that's why she's so frightened. She knows it's not Corey. So that's interesting. And we finally have confirmation that Michael is wearing a normal mask. I posited this in other videos that it may seem weird for people because we're used to now the deteriorated mask, the mask that has been worn over for several years. But I think at the beginning, Michael will have dark coveralls and he will have to use a normal mask because presumably Corey took his real mask and he's stuck. He just has to use what he has. That's all there is to it. He has to improvise. So he will use a real mask. The alternative is that this is the copycat, and the copycat is using the normal mask. But I don't think that's likely. I would think if you're going to be a copycat, you're going to want a copycat mask too. So there we are. So we do have confirmation there is a copycat. I think it's confirmation there are two copycats, but that would still be speculative. So definitely we're getting real Michael Myers, and we're getting at least one copycat. But is Michael taking a backseat, and will the copycat be doing most of the work? That we still don't know, and that is where we are. There's a lot more to get into, but the TV spot didn't reveal too much, but it did reveal a few more tantalizing details, and we'll work through those. Thank you for listening.